بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونشكره على ما هدانا ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
The theme for today's discussion is Adab as-Salat. And the term Adab as-Salat is used to explain how to perform prayers, which is the daily prayers. Also used to reflect more intensely on the meaning, significance, spiritual impact of daily prayer. So we can use Adab as-Salat in the exterior form as well as the spiritual and the interior form. Before I continue, there are two books that I want to recommend if you can follow it and read it until we finish this topic. One is by Marhum Dasghib Shirazi, which is called Salat al-Khashi'in, and the other one is Adab as-Salat by Marhum Imam Rahmatullah alayhi. I believe both of them have been translated and available on internet. Al-Islam.org definitely has, the last time I checked was Adab as-Salat Marhum Imam Khomeini, English translation, but Salat al-Khashi'in I don't know, but I'm sure that they have done it because they have a number of books by Marhum Dasghib Shirazi. They are if you want, you can start by Dasghib Shirazi because it's very simple language, and this was the first book that he authored. He was not allowed to publish the original version during the Shah's regime, and ultimately managed to get permission from the right department. But by then, the benefactor that was supposed to provide the finance for publishing the book became too much for him, so they had to reduce the book into something small, and this is the book. It's in Farsi, Salat al-Khashi'in, but English translation as well as Arabic translation, both of them are available. According to what I know, his son, who used to be in Najaf, and I knew him, said Hashim, he says that the original book was about probably 1,000 or 1,200 pages, but they had to be reduced into something small so that becomes economical for publication. So you can start with that. I must warn you, like every other book that Marhum Imam Rahmatullah alayhi writes, it is more of an irfan and a spiritual structure. I believe there is one article in a section in 40 hadith of Marhum Imam under the title of Salat, Namaz. I don't know, I just have a vague idea. Scholars, it's something that we need to discuss it right now or mention it. Scholars say that Salat has an exterior form as well as an interior meaning. Unfortunately, people pay huge amount of attention to the exterior form, but nothing to do with the meaning, the interior meaning, and the spiritual dimension of the prayer. And in the same manner that if we do not follow the exterior form's requirement and the discipline of the exterior form, if they were to be negated, it would render the prayer invalid and not worthy or not acceptable. The same thing would happen if you were to deal with the interior requirement with the spiritual dimension of Salat, that if those are not adhered to, it would render the Salat meaningless. because Salat, the prayer, the importance and the significance of it, one could ascertain from the number of verses that we have in the Holy Quran specifically about prayer, and particularly the number of ahadith that we have on Salat. There are 98 verses in the Holy Quran that talks about prayer. And there are approximately 11,600 hadith about prayer in various hadith books. So that shows the significance of and the importance of the prayer. And going back to the point that I began with, people spend time trying to, for example, correct their hamd and surah. I'm not saying they shouldn't, because the exterior form of the salat must be adhered to, otherwise the prayer would be meaningless. If you can't say Bismillah hamd and surah properly, or if you don't, you need to go back to your the fatwa of your own scholars and the Risala Amaliya to see what they say. The arkan and other parts of the prayer, for example, takbirat al-ihram, ruku', sujood, qara'a, dhikr, tashahud, salam, tartib, mawalat. These are the conditions that must be followed, as well as the makan and libas, what you wear, as well and the place that you are going to offer your prayer in. These are all have to be halal, otherwise if there is some najasa on one's clothing, or the place or the ground that where one offers the prayer is not permissible, then renders the whole prayer meaningless or worthless and not acceptable. There are a number of conditions that must be satisfied for the salat to take its spiritual meaning and usefulness. And we start with few verses of the Holy Quran just to mention, few of that out of the number of verses. First of all, إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. This is Ankabut, verse number 45. The essence of prayer purifies and averts evil deeds. Under what condition salat averts evil deed? That's something we have seen repeatedly in our daily life, that people often stand even on the in the first line of the prayer. They offer prayer, they go to ruku' and sujood, and then their conduct and their etiquette does not reflect. They are sinful, etc. So, إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر is a particular type of prayer when that once it offered properly, then it averts the evils and the sinfulness that we have. Not every prayer. Simply standing up and saying Allahu Akbar and following through the ritual does not necessarily by itself averts the sinfulness or averts evil deed. Another verse in the Holy Quran, Surah Baqarah 238, حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى. Observe the five prayers, especially the middle prayer, and stand in true devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is another verse here. أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. Observe the prayer from the decline of the sun until the darkness of the night. This is Isra 78. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ. Command your people to perform prayers. Taha 132. One thing that underscores the point that I just raised, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. This is Surah Ma'un, verse number 5. That these are people, veil means wretched be those people who offer prayer, but they are not there, they are not present in the midst of the prayer. The prayer is simply a ritual that they follow. And they offer prayer, but they don't do it properly. They are not present either, or missing certain parts, not being on time. One of the conditions of that a huge number of ahadith we have from Ahlul Bayt tries to bring to our attention is to offer prayer at the time of fadila, right at the beginning of the time. There is a hadith from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah salamu alayhi, امتحنوا شيعتنا عند مواقيت الصلاة كيف محافظتهم عليها. If you want to check our Shias, those are the true believers of Ahlul Bayt, that they follow Ahlul Bayt, check their presence during the time of fadila, right at the beginning of the time of the prayer, whether they adhere to it or they delay it until the last minute. Ibn Mas'ud says, I asked the Holy Prophet, أَيُّ الْأَعْمَالِ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, which of the deeds that are most liked and most favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said that قَالَ as-Salat لِوَقْتِهَا, that you offer prayer, but you offer prayer just in the right time, the beginning or the time of fadila. Another hadith from the Holy Prophet, لَيْسَ مِنِّي مَنْ اسْتَخَفَّ بِالصَّلَاةِ, those who treat prayers in a light manner, they are not from me. وَلَا يَرِدُ عَلَيَّ الْحَوْضِ, these people will not come back to me on the day of judgment. So these are, there is another hadith from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir salawatullah salam alayhi, أَوَّلُ مَا يُحَاسَبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدِ as-Salat. Once the servant is going to stand before the sacred court and answer court, or it could be during the barzakh time, the first thing that they will be questioned is prayer. Did you do them properly? Did you offer them in a manner that spiritually was useless, or just it was a shallow, superficial way that you offered your prayer? فَإِنْ قَبِلَتْ قَبِلَ مَا سَوَاهُ, or فَإِنْ قُبِلَتْ قُبِلَ مَا سَوَاهُ. If it was accepted, this prayer, then everything else. If you offer a prayer that exterior and interior, there is a synthesis between the two, and both the exterior and the interior work together, then obviously you are a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept all other a'mals as well. But if we offer our prayer purely to do the taklif that we have, the obligation that we have, just perform the ritual without paying any attention. And there, as we go through this lecture, inshallah, other parts we will focus on a number of things within. One of the conditions that are critical in offering the prayer is what we call hudur al-qalb, or to be present. To be present in the prayer. The biggest challenge here is that the heart is not in the prayer as we go through. We say Allahu Akbar, but the mind wanders, the heart goes around. So we are present, we go through the ritual, but we are absent because the heart doesn't connect. And this, we wonder after that, why is it that our prayers are not answered, or we don't get that spiritual feeling that we should get during the time of the prayer. We don't see as-Salatu mi'rajul mu'min, that the hadith says that salat takes you up. It's supposed to be the time of ascension to heaven. We don't get it. So other people come to there is a hadith that people come to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi and say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ad'uni astajib lakum, ask me and I will respond, but we keep asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nothing happens? And Imam says a number of things. One of them is that when you offer your prayer, your heart is not there. You don't connect. And there are a number of reasons for one's heart not to be present. The ulama, they talk about this. The first thing that we see in these books that they you would notice, حب الدنيا, attachment to the material life. As long as we are, this material life and the worldly desire are something that dictates everything, naturally, even when we go through the ritual, our mind is still within this world. It cannot detach itself from the worldly. If we offer prayer for riyah, if we submit to the command of Allah for fame and to create legacy for ourselves, oh, look at so and so stands in the first line of the prayer for Salat al-Jama'ah. I give you an example that how people offer prayer, but their minds are not there, they are all over the place. I remember when I first went to ICA and I was leading the prayer. After the prayer, somebody who was standing behind me came to me and he said, Maulana, I have a question. Okay. Why in your prayer you put your left foot over your right foot, rather than your right foot over the left foot? I said, well, let me ask you first thing. In your prayer, where should your thought and heart be? To my feet, how I put them on top of each other, or it's supposed to be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? They notice these kind of things because the heart is not in the prayer. There is a hadith that somebody goes to Imam, I think it's Abu Hamza al-Thamani, goes to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah salam alayhi, that says, I used to see Imam Zain al-Abidin every time the time of prayer came, not only his features changed, even his skin tightened. And Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq says, yes, my grandfather used to feel that, who is it that I'm going to stand in front of him and offer my prayer? To be able to detach, the concept of detachment from the world. When nafs al-ammara is not in full control, and you can easily detach yourself from it, then you can submit and elevate yourself in the prayer. So hubb al-dunya, riyah, showing off, is another fundamental problem that we have. Ghafla, or forgetfulness, that we are not remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is not all the time in our thoughts. The issue of this is zakat, khums, aklul halal, that somebody would eat pure food has consequences when it comes to spirituality. There is a story from Marhum Tabatabai rahmatullah alayh. He's to one of his students, he said, I believe it's Hussein Tehrani that narrates this story, God bless his soul as well. He said, when I was a young student, I had come back from Najaf to Iran and I was studying in Qum. We decided to go for ziyarah to Mashhad. And the only way we thought we don't need to wait for this public transport. We find a taxi or some kind of a private car that has got 5 space, and we are 5 students. We get into this, and we can go back straight to Mashhad, get there quicker. We reached Tehran, 4 of us from Qom reached Tehran. The person that we were supposed to pick up in Tehran wasn't there. We waited and waited and waited, nothing happened. We decided that, well, forget about the whole thing, we need to go. So we went outside Tehran. There is a corner that near Karaj, according to Marhum Tabatabai, and I saw an old man sitting in the corner, waiting for the bus to come so that he can get into it. I told my other friends, look, we have 5 spaces, we have already paid for it. And we only have 4, there is 1 extra space, and this old man is sitting over there. So I approached him. He looked at me and he said, I'm prepared to come with you only if I sit next to you, not next to anybody else. I said, okay, come sit next to me. we went for a couple of hours. Everybody, the taxi driver stopped the car near some river or stream so that we can do our wudu and prayer. And everybody took out their boxes of whatever food they had. I had a little bit of dry bread and some yogurt, dried yogurt. That I put it on the table like with everybody else. So I saw this old man sitting on the side and is not prepared to come and join us. So I went to him and said, Hajj, you see, we don't have much. It's only simple things. You can join us. He looked at me and he said, do you really want to eat that food? Just shook me. Remember, Marhum Tabatabai had just come back from Najaf after visiting Ayatollah Qadi and going through all of this. He said, I just shook me. He said, what do you mean? He said, come here, let me show you. He said, took me to the place where the foods were and waved his hand in front of my eyes. He said, now look, everything that had been put on the table was blood in it. I stepped back. He said, these are food that have haram in it. So, akl al-haram, if we don't pay attention to the food that we eat, where we get it, as much as possible, we have to investigate to make sure that the food is haram. If we don't pay khums, if we don't pay zakat, if we don't give, if we backbite, if we slander, all of these conditions affect the inner meaning of salat. This is why now spirituality is dead in this country. You don't have anybody that feels any, because in one way or the other, there were days when we stood up for prayer and when we said Allahu Akbar, we thought that the world is changing with us. Now we go through the ritual and nothing. Not even, when you say Allahu Akbar, not even a drop of tear comes out. You don't even realize what you are talking about, the meaning of the words. As soon as we say Allahu Akbar, we go on an autopilot until we finish. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Finish. We don't know what we did. So, akl al-haram, forgetfulness and everything else, these are critical for the prayers when we offer. There is a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu that underlines the offering of the prayer during the right time. Ibn Abbas narrates that during the Battle of Siffin, I saw Amir al-Mu'mineen as he fought the army of Muawiyah. He used to look up to the sky to see the position of the sun. So I came to him and I said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why is it that you keep looking up? He said, because I want to check whether Zawal, which is the midday, has arrived or not. And I said, what for? He said, I want to offer my prayer right at the beginning of the time. I asked him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, we are in the midst of a battle. Shouldn't we finish battle and then we go for something else? He smiled and he said, we are fighting them for the meaning of salat. When a true meaning of salat is offered, we are fighting them for meaning of salat. So this is something that we really need to pay attention to. Make it a habit. Another hadith, لا يزال الشيطان هائبا لابن آدم. Shaitan always stays away from from the son of Adam, as long as Ibn Adam keeps the prayer, offer the prayer at the exact time, the time of Fadilah. ما صلى الصلوات الخمس لوقتهن فإذا, once he dismisses it and doesn't pray at the right time, اجترأ عليه, then you see the shaitan jumps on him. فأدخله في العظائم. Now that you make excuses for offering the prayer. Next, let me finish this, let me watch that, let me do this, let me chat here, let me type this, and before you know it, time of Fadila was 1 o'clock, 1:30, and it's 6 o'clock in the evening, and the whole thing has been delayed. فاجترى عليه فأدخله في العظائم. Once then shaitan comes and you have become disrespectful to the salat, it takes you away to do much worse evil things that are that under normal circumstance are not, we normally don't do it. So inner purity is necessary because we for the prayer to be able to provide us with the spiritual impact that we need. These are just here and there bits and pieces that I wanted as an introduction and opening to the discussion, and inshallah next week we will truly go one by one. How do we start by trying to focus, for example? One of the basic start, the first step in the focusing and paying attention in hudur al-qalb starts when you focus on the words that you say during the prayer. You focus on them, and then gradually, inshallah, we will discuss this in next week. And this theme might take 3 to 4 weeks of inshallah conversation. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.